everybody and welcome back to All About Steph 1 with me, Steph. Today, I thought we'd just have a little chat about the championship. We've just passed halfway, or just over halfway, of the season. We've had 9 races and we've got 8 more races to go, so what better time to do a little catch up on what's going on and do a little driver ratings as well on how they have been performing in the season so far. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to give a massive thank you to everyone who is working for Formula 1, behind the scenes of Formula 1 for the teams. We have just finished a third triple header of the season so far, which is incredibly difficult for everyone who would be working within the sport. I am so grateful as a fan that we have had so much racing and that everyone is working so hard to put it on. So yeah, massive thank you to everyone who is working behind the scenes, because us as the fans, we're absolutely loving it and we are so appreciative of everything that everyone is doing to make it all possible in this very weird and wacky year. But yeah, we're just going to get straight into it. Grab a cuppa. I don't like tea or coffee, so I'm literally drinking hot Vimto. Please don't unsubscribe. But yeah, I think we're going to start from the bottom and go up. So we start from the bottom, and number 21 is Romain Grosjean. I really like Grosjean. I think he's such a little sweetheart and he's really lovely, but I don't think that he's performing well enough. I don't think at the minute or anymore he is one of the top 20 drivers in the world. I don't think he's performing to the standard that his teammate is performing. Kevin Magnussen, I think he's doing a much better job. So, sorry Roman, but I'm going to have to give you a 3 out of 10. In 20th position, George Russell. Everyone is labelling this man as a future world champion, so it is so hard to see him in 20th at the back of the grid. He has maintained this incredible qualifying record of consistently beating his teammate in qualifying from 2019, and it still is holding in 2020. He has made a few mistakes, for example in Styria when he qualified 11th after all the grid place penalties, and then he just kind of plummeted right back down the order and undid all of his hard work in qualifying. So I do think he needs to work on his racecraft a little bit more, especially as well this weekend in Mugello. He kind of lost out on his first points finish through the third red flag re-standing start. What? Through the third standing start after the red flag. Yeah. George is doing a fairly decent job, 7 out of 10. 19th we have Latifi, who is also on 0 points but has more higher finishes than George. He has an 11th place finish in Austria and an 11th place in Italy, so he's been very close to the points at times, and I do think he is much better on a Sunday than he is on a Saturday. I do think, however, he is sometimes quite far off the pace of George in front of him. In a very difficult year like this, I think Nicholas is performing quite well, actually, and he is improving from the beginning of the year. Like, I think he has got much better. So, yeah, he's not doing too badly. 6 out of 10. In 18th, we have Magnussen. Now, Magnussen isn't doing a bad job. I think he picked up that 1 point in Hungary. To be honest, I don't have much to say on Magnussen. The car isn't great for either him or Grosjean. Unfortunately, I don't think he's getting the most that he could out of that Haas, so I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. 17, Antonio Giovinazzi. Now, he started off the season really well. He got a 9th place in Austria, 2 points. And what is he on now? 2 points. 2 points. You always see on the little graphic at the side that he's made up like 4 or 5 places, which I think is great, and so he's clearly very good with his starts, but he just never seems to be able to maintain any sort of position. He always seems to be embroiled in arguments on track, and by arguments I mean crashes. I don't think that he has proved that he deserves to be in that seat, and I definitely think that his older, much older teammate, albeit a world champion, is doing a much better job than him. 4 out of 10. 16, we have Raikkonen, who is on the exact same amount of points. He's on 2 points. I do think that Raikkonen is doing a much better job. He always seems to be fighting for positions. That's a really good quality to have in a racing driver, and I think that's what makes Kimi still so good at such an old age, that he's still consistently fighting for those positions in a pretty bad car. 6 out of 10. 15th, we have Hulk. He's getting a 10 out of 10 straight away. 10 out of 10. He only actually started the 70th GP race, but he outqualified his teammate. He qualified P3. Outqualified his teammate who has a full-time drive, and he was beating his teammate for the majority of the race before his tyres ended up falling off. So for someone who hadn't raced in Formula 1 for 7 or 8 months, I think he did a brilliant job. 10 out of 10 from me. 14, Danny Kvyat. I don't have much to say other than he is not doing well enough. His teammate won a race. He won a race, and I know it's very difficult with the AlphaTauri strategy because it is a midfield car, but Danny Kvyat is just not performing, so there's nothing really more I can say. 4 out of 10. 13th, shock horror. We have a Ferrari in 13th, a 4-time world champion in 13th. Sebastian Vettel. Seb deserves a lot of respect, but I can't rate him very highly because his season in comparison to his teammate has been pretty poor. Leclerc is consistently outqualifying him and beating him in the race, and I just don't think that Vettel looks to be the stronger Ferrari, and his results are evident of that, so I can only give Vettel a 6 out of 10. 12th, we have Esteban Ocon. Again, a bit of a disappointment. He's very, very far off the pace of his teammate, Daniel Ricciardo. Always seems to be getting beaten or outqualified by Danny Rick. So it's a little bit disappointing, especially with all of the hype that kind of surrounds him. I do think he is getting a lot more stick than he deserves this season. Daniel Ricciardo has had much better reliability, and Esteban has had to retire on 2 occasions that were not his fault. This time out in Mugello and also in Styria. However, when he hasn't had mechanical retirements that weren't his fault, I don't think he has been maximising his points. He's doing a decent job. It's decent, but it's nothing special and it's nothing terrible. So stop giving Ocon hate because he's not doing a bad job. 5 out of 10. In 11th, we have Sainz, Carlos Sainz, the guy who finished best of the rest last year. He's currently in 11th. I do want to point out Sainz has had horrible reliability for this year. He was one of the guys who had his tyre blow up at Silverstone. He was taken out in the last race in Mugello. He didn't start the race in Belgium, so he has had some mechanical difficulties as well. But when it counts, he is producing results. So he managed to get that stunning podium. It was almost a race victory in Monza, and that would have been incredible for him. His results kind of suggest that he's having a bad season, but I disagree. I think his season is pretty good. When it counts and when he's able to, he is getting the results. So he's just being the Sainz that we all know. 7 out of 10. In 10th, we have the man, the myth himself, Pierre Gasly, the man who stole a win at Monza. And I say stole, but it wasn't really stole because it was so earned and definitely well deserved. I think he's driving incredibly well. The AlphaTauri is not a good car, and he is more than outperforming it at the minute. He's doing such a good job, and I think his performances are definitely indicative that he deserves a better seat on the grid. 9 out of 10. In 9th, we have Sergio Perez. As we know, Perez missed 2 races as a result of being diagnosed with that which will not be named. As the season's gone on, he isn't looking as strong as his teammate in pink, and so his rating has kind of gone down a little bit because his performances just haven't been looking as strong as Stroll's have. 7 out of 10. In 8th, we have Leclerc, who has done an incredible job to drag that Ferrari up to that position. His drives have been genuinely impressive this season because we all know that he's driving a car that is not very good. It's no longer in the top 3. It's not even the best midfield car. It's literally in the second half of the Constructors' Championship. So the Ferrari isn't good, but Leclerc has managed to drag 2 podiums out of it and is in 8th in the driver's standings, which is way above where you would expect that car to have a driver. 9 out of 10. 7th, we have Daniel Ricciardo. He is doing seriously well this season, seriously well. Last season he only got 1 4th place finish, and this season he's already on 3 4th place finishes. He's getting every last drop out of that Renault. But the car seems to have made strides since last year, and it's obviously much more capable of being able to pick up points when other stronger midfield cars are not able to. And Daniel Ricciardo is that driver who is there to pick up the points in that car when he can. 9 out of 10. Next we have Stroll, who actually dropped down a couple of spots as a result of DNFing in Mugello. Stroll's season has been okay. At the beginning it wasn't too good, but he's got so much better. After the Nico Hülkenberg incident, his performances have been strong. And he's going out on track now, giving so many reasons as to why he actually deserves that seat. And I'm going to do a whole video on Lance Stroll himself. but I do think that he is driving very well, albeit his season so far hasn't been completely smooth sailing. 8 out of 10. Number 5, we have Alex Albon, finally getting up into the top 5. His start of the season looked strong. He could have been on for a race victory in Austria, but we all know what happened. I do think his qualifying has been the weak point of his race weekends, and that has cost him race results. Finally getting his podium in Mugello, I think will light a bit of a fire in him. He's getting much better, and I think he's going to do well. But I can only give him a 6 out of 10. Lando Norris, what an incredible job he has done for the beginning of this season. He's definitely proving why he deserved to be put in that McLaren at such a young age. He is doing a great job in his second year in Formula 1 now that he's a little bit more comfortable with the environment. He's consistently getting into Q3. I think he only just missed out on Q3 in Mugello. The only race he finished outside of the points this season is Hungary, so he already has such a great track record of points finishes for this season so far. He got his first podium in Austria. He was challenging for the podium positions in Monza. I just think Lando is doing a really, really great job at the minute, and he seems to be on a very upward path, upward trajectory. And I hope that continues for the rest of the season. 8 out of 10. Number 3, we have Max Verstappen, who actually DNF'd the last 2 weekends, and that, I think, has put him out of the title fight. And I do think that Max is the only person that would have been able to take the fight to Hamilton. But yeah, I do think Max's season has been a little bit unlucky. He's had 3 DNFs, so a third of the races that we've had so far, he's DNF'd, and he's still in 3rd place in the championship. He's driving on another level. He's massively outperforming the Red Bull, who isn't a championship contending car in comparison with the Mercedes. So I think Max Verstappen is doing all he can. He's doing the best that he can, and there's nothing more that he could be doing with the car that he has. He has had a few mistakes this season. If we think back to Hungary, where he binned it on the installation lap. If we think even Mugello, when he kind of fell back down the order. But when you give him that car, when he's in the race, he's doing everything that he could possibly do to challenge Hamilton. And that's all that we can ask. Everyone doing all that they could possibly do. So I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10. Second place, Valtteri Bottas. I don't want to spend too long talking about Bottas. All I want to say is his performances have been extremely underwhelming, and I don't think he's deserving of that second seat at the Mercedes. I understand exactly why he's there, because he is there to pick up the points when Hamilton isn't, and he is a consistent second driver. But I do think the second seat at Mercedes is being wasted on him right now, because he just simply isn't good enough. He only has 2 poles compared to Hamilton's 7 poles, and I think that that's a massive difference, especially when they're in the same car. We do know that Hamilton is a great qualifier, but Bottas actually does look strong on Saturday. So if he can't even put himself in the position for pole on a Saturday, how do we expect him to compete in the race? 6 out of 10. And finally, we have Lewis Hamilton, and I'm just going to say it right now, he's going to get a 10 out of 10. Obviously, a 10 out of 10 means perfection, but in the terms of Formula 1, you can't really achieve perfection over a season. Perfection would literally be getting pole position every race, winning every race, getting the fastest lap, leading every lap, and that's just not feasible for something like Formula 1. So I am still going to give Lewis Hamilton a 10 out of 10 because he is performing at a level that is incredible to watch. He is so focused and so driven and so motivated that it's hard to deny him a perfect score at the minute. He is completely dominating the whole field, and for me that qualifies a 10 out of 10 because even in comparison to his teammate, he is over 2 race wins ahead of him in the championship. There's 55 points between them, and that is a big, big number. Hamilton is just on another level, and this is his championship to lose. Disclaimer, I don't think he's going to lose it. Okay, but that is us looking at the Drivers' Championship standings as of right now. Please let me know if you agree with the ratings down below and what you would rate everyone. But let's just have a look at the Constructors real quick. So, we can see that Mercedes are leading the Constructors, and honestly, there's nothing that's going to stop them from winning unless something super drastic happens and none of their cars can finish the upcoming races. They will be winning the Constructors' Championship. They are 152 points ahead of Red Bull in second place, which is an insane amount. So Red Bull, start working for next year, because this year is over. In third place is McLaren, which is actually really, really great. They're the only midfield team that has over 100 points so far. I think that's definitely due to the fact that they have 2 podiums under their belt at the minute. Their drivers are performing to pretty high levels, and I think next year Red Bull want to watch out, because McLaren will be on their tail. For me, there's a clear divide within the Constructors' Championship. It's Mercedes at the top, no one's even competing with them. Then it's kind of competing between Red Bull and McLaren. And then we have the rest of the midfield that aren't too far behind. So we have the AlphaTauri, Ferrari, Renault, and the Racing Point. And I think it's going to be a very, very close fight between those 4. The real interesting story will come out from the midfield and who is going to get 4th, even 3rd necessarily, because Racing Point can probably challenge McLaren for 3rd place at the minute. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Constructors is going to play out in the next few races. But alright, that is everything from me. Many, many thanks to all of you for watching. Let me know your opinions down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like and subscribe down below if you're not already subscribed. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you with a stick or twist. That's going to be my next video. So I'll see you with a stick or twist on Sunday.